know is there is no other British fighter active who approaches his drawing power, and maybe boxing needs this. The return of the Hitman.
I want people to be proud of me again. I didn't make a comeback to do 4-rounders and 6-rounders. I wanted to come back and win a world title and redeem myself and do everyone proud. I competed at that level, so nothing less than that is going to be good enough for me. But I think something special can even come out of this, something further. A 5th world title, I think it's within my reach. I feel I became a bit of a joke, you know. Ricky Hatton, this world champion who had all them fans and boxed at Man City and boxed in Vegas. Look at him in the pub, you know, 15 stone, fat, drunk, crying. I became a real sad sight, and I don't want my kids, my fans, my community, everyone thinking of me in that manner. You know, that's why I'm back.
I wouldn't be surprised if all the way down in the dressing rooms he can hear the din out here. They have spoken in their numbers. They want him back. Is it all a big delusion?
I think we're going to see some great nights in Manchester again with Ricky Hatton. You know, I mean, everything, we're going to know everything when that first round goes. You know, when he walks back to that corner, we're either going to say he's got it, he's not got it, he's got the ambition, he's not got the ambition. But personally, I think he's got everything.
And Paulie, you've told our viewers already, and welcome to everybody joining us now on Prime Time, incidentally, and great to have your company too across the country. We've been on air here since 7 p.m. and it has all been building to this. Some of the great and the good from yesteryear felt it was worth their appearance. I kind of think that tells you everything when Nigel Benn decides to come to a fight these days. It must be important. But Paulie, you said some time ago on our show, Ricky's proved plenty by going through the motions of getting ready to return. Is the biggest step still in front for him?
Well, for him, the physical part is here. I mean, I think mentally he's prepared himself. The motivation is there. I mean, you can hear the way he's been talking throughout the build-up, throughout fight week. So mentally, that part can be very difficult. It's there. I think he's very motivated, and he's got all the right to be motivated. Now we'll see what he's physically got. He's telling us he's ready. He's telling himself he's ready. Is he trying to convince himself that he's ready when he's not? Or is he really ready? There's only one way to find out, and that's once he's in the ring tonight.
And of course, he's had a great deal of time to be thinking about this. Here is how he views what he faces now.
I was always very emotional when I did my ring walks. I used to think about Campbell and my kids and my family and how much sacrifice I've done in order to get to this point. That's when I've got to hold it together and stick to the game plan that me and my trainer's been working on for these 12 weeks leading to this moment in time. And, you know, when the pressure's on and the crowd's roaring and all these things are going through my mind, that's when I've got to show my championship spirit that, you know, nothing matters other than Senchenko who's across the ring. And if I'm the champion that I believe I am, I'll be able to hold it together, but it will be a tough one for me. There's going to be a few more things buzzing through my mind on this ring walk. I fell out with my parents, Billy Graham, my former trainer. People are going to be sat in the stand, you know, fans, boxing fans, friends, family, everybody's going to be sat in the stand going, what's going to happen here? Is he going to be the same again? Is he going to get hurt again? Is it going to be a Manny Pacquiao revisited? Can he roll back the years? Everybody's going to be sat there like, you know, what's going to happen? I think they're going to see the best Ricky Hatton that there's ever been, to be honest with you.
A great standard bearer, I was going to say in his day. Let's hope his day is not quite done with yet. But as well as the stars of former eras like Nigel Benn, at ringside, one or two of the men who we hope will be able to take British boxing forward. David Price, the British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion, is with Ronald.
David, what do you make of this sense of occasion, this atmosphere ahead of Ricky's much anticipated ring return?
I'm speechless standing here seeing this. I mean, I used to come to Ricky's fights, but I think the fans have took it up a notch tonight because of the occasion. And I think it's important that Ricky controls his emotions on his way into the ring, because it's going to get to him. It's going to bring back a lot of good memories walking out to this.
Last time out, you had a brilliant first-round win against Audley Harrison. If you were facing a boxer who hadn't been in the ring for 3.5 years, what tactical approach would you take into the ring? Would you look to jump on him early? How would you approach it?
I'd obviously look at setting a fast pace going into the fight, hoping that he'd be a bit ring rusty. I mean, there's sparring in the gym and there's training, but fighting's a little bit different, obviously. So I think you'd get in there and you'd up the ante straight away and try and take the fighter out of the comfort zone. So I think that's what Senchenko may try to do. But this atmosphere is going to lift Ricky Hatton through the roof, I think, and he's going to be so energetic. It's going to be hard to stop him.
And speaking of Senchenko, what would it be like from a boxer's point of view, facing this type of atmosphere, knowing that of all the 20,000 people in the house, there may be 5 here who are cheering for you? How does the fighter deal with that?
Well, to be honest, I've never experienced that type of thing, but I could imagine it to be pretty intimidating, and in this venue is fantastic, because it's like everyone's on top of the ring almost, so it's not like the setback in a stadium or something, so it's going to be difficult for him to cope with that. But I think once a fighter's in the ring, that's it. It's just you and the referee and the opponent in the ring, and nothing else outside matters. So hopefully it won't affect him, because it'll make for a good fight if it doesn't.
Well, listen, David, very many thanks for your time and best luck in your forthcoming fight. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks.
He's been doing it all right, young David Price, and I would imagine inspired in recent years by the exploits of Ricky Hatton, who returns at the other end of the age spectrum, 34, hoping to prove as sharp as he once was to this adoring crowd in Manchester. So, how difficult will it be for him to, and David referred to it there, to keep everything in order emotionally?
Well, he's only human. I mean, you haven't been through this atmosphere in a long time, but you've been waiting for the night. You've been waiting for the moment. So I think he's going to have to work to keep it together. But like he said, he'd like to think he's a champion and he's a professional, and that he'll be able to keep it together. You'd think all the experience he's got.
I thought you guys blotted it all out. That's what made you special. Yeah,
it's something like, in the end, he's going to have to keep it together, because he's a professional. He's going to have to execute a certain game plan. But the emotion is there. You fight off of emotion. A guy like Ricky right now, his emotion is what's driving him. His emotion is what's pushing him to go forward with everything he's got.
Exactly. I agree with Paulie straight away. But when he hears his music and he's walking to that ring, his emotions are going to be amazing.
I want you both to address his physical condition here. What does it say to you at the age of 34?
He looks in fantastic shape. Obviously we know what the weight issues have been, how much he's lost over the last, however, 5-6 months, whatever it is. But looking at him now, to be honest, he looks in the best shape I've ever seen him. So
how can that be possible? How can that be possible? He's 34, and common knowledge, Ricky's the first to admit it, he lived terribly, and not just for the 3.5 years he was off, for the latter half of his pro career.
Totally understand where you're coming from, Paul, but look at him there. For the 4 months he's dedicated himself in the gym, for a solid 4 months, not for the 12 weeks he used to do before and lose a 2.5-3 stone. He's dedicated himself for the 4 months solid in the gym, and that's why he looks healthier. He looks healthier than when he used to do, when he used to crash the weight off in 12 weeks. He looks a healthier Ricky Hatton to me.
Back down to ringside, and Richie Woodall and Ian Darke.
And the atmosphere down here, I can tell you, is just unbelievable. It's just like the old times here when Hatton was on that charge towards Costigiou and the world title fight. There are people on their feet everywhere. They are clamouring. You can feel the drama of all this. But somehow through all this, Ricky Hatton now, after all this talk, has got to keep a cool head and do a job. Richard, how does he do it?
Well, he has, but this is the comfort zone for Ricky Hatton, believe it or not. This is what he's missed. And now when he hears this crowd and sees the crowd again, I think he'll rise to the occasion. He's up against a tricky opponent though, and a very capable opponent, but he's up against a much taller opponent. So I think Ricky may target the body early on, certainly look to whip the shots over the top also. He's up against someone who's a long reach, so he's got to keep that head moving and get inside that long reach of his opponent. I think he's got to jump on his opponent early on, to be quite honest.
How does Senchenko cope with this atmosphere? It's a problem for every Ricky Hatton opponent. I mean, he says he's boxed in front of 50,000 people in the Ukraine before, but this is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it is something else, and this is going to be a big problem for Senchenko when he comes out. This has got to affect you. When you're hearing the crowd cheering for your opponent, it's got to affect your performance. He's going to take a real cool head if he can establish his jab okay, but Ricky's going to be on him, and I think the crowd will get to Senchenko. We'll soon find out.
There's a really special atmosphere. There are many more questions than answers at the moment, but you're going to get the answers in this ring in a few minutes from now.
We've had a good few answers already. Thank you, gentlemen, from Paulie Malignaggi on the subject of Senchenko, because, of course, Paulie, in the fashion of a comeback kid yourself, let's remind everybody, you went to his backyard in Ukraine, and you are back on top as the WBA World Welterweight Champion. You took Senchenko's crown away. You know him so well. What's your best guess as to how he will handle all this here?
You know, for one aspect, I'm curious because, again, this atmosphere, if you have never fought away from home, or when you have, you were still the favorite, this is all new to him. It doesn't matter how old he is or what experience he's got. This experience tonight is something completely new to him. Now, he's got to put the loss behind him. I know it was 6 months ago, but he's got to put that behind him, and he's got to figure out a way to stay positive. And during this ring walk in and of itself, it's big for him. Emotionally, it's a big ring walk right now because he's coming off that loss, and this crowd is going to remind him of anything negative that's in his mind.
Thank you. Back down to ringside briefly, Paulie, and waiting there for us, Ricky's brother, Matthew Hatton.
Matthew, what do you make of this sense of occasion, the sense of anticipation here ahead of your brother's much anticipated return to the ring?
Incredible. I don't think I've ever seen an atmosphere like it, and you know, what an atmosphere, and just can't wait for the fight to happen now.
Said that you've spoken to him on the phone today, not seen him in person. What sense did you get of where he is in terms of his preparation, particularly from an emotional point of view?
You know, sport is all about mental, and mentally he seems very focused, very up for the job, and yeah, he's ready. What can I say? You know, no one knows what's going to happen, so just can't wait for the fight to happen now. Can't wait.
Regardless of the outcome tonight, how proud, how pleased are you at the way in which your brother has managed to turn his life around and get back to a healthy state of mind and body once again?
Oh, very proud. You know, obviously he's had his bad times, but all I can do as a family member and a brother is support him, and whatever he wants to do in his boxing career, whether you agree with it or not, I'm always 100% behind him. So.
Listen, Matthew, very many thanks for your time. Wish your brother all the best tonight.
Cheers.
Great to see Matthew with us tonight here in Manchester. It's time to sum it up. Ryan, you go first.
Senchenko is obviously going to know Ricky's issues, what's happened outside the ring. So Senchenko is going to be confident. It's going to be a massive reality check when he walks through that and sees 20,000 people booing him. It's how he copes for that. That is up to him how he's going to cope for that. But I can see Ricky coming out of this with the crowd lifting him to the highest, you know, where he's ever been before. You know, your Costa Tszyu fight, this tonight is going to be worth so much more than beating Costa Tszyu, because he's turned his life completely around, and this tonight is going to be absolutely amazing for Ricky Hatton.
I think the best hope is that if it's not too good to be true, we might even see a Ricky Hatton trying to show us a little bit. You said the great condition he's in. He's got a new trainer. You know, it was pressure on his greatest night, but wouldn't it be wonderful? You guys need to reinvent yourself sometime to see Ricky moving.
Well, he's going to have to show some adjustments. He's got a guy with a good jab in front of him, you know. Senchenko, you know, he's going to have to try to establish the jab. So Ricky, if he can show some wrinkles with that head movement on the way in, getting past the jab, making Senchenko pay for throwing his jab, it's important.
Paulie and Ryan, thank you both for the build-up. George Foreman, Ray Leonard, some of the greatest of all time, have had long layoffs and come back and shocked the world. That would inspire Ricky Hatton. One step at a time, though. Let's first tonight find out whether Ricky has still got it in him. In Manchester, we welcome our MC, Michael Buffer.
Manchester, let's get this party started! Now, coming to the ring, the former welterweight world champion from the Ukraine, Vyacheslav Senchenko!
Well, Manchester awaits the entrance of the man who has been cast in the opposite corner to Ricky Hatton for his comeback. Vyacheslav Senchenko, who's actually older than Hatton. He's 35, he's from the Ukraine. Nearly all his fights have been in the Ukraine, but until quite recently, he was the holder of the WBA welterweight championship of the world, and made a few defences of it as well on home territory until our guest tonight, Paulie Malignaggi, relieved him of that title. But he's a decent boxer, he's got a good jab, he's taller than Ricky Hatton, and he'll believe here that if Hatton is in any way short of his best, he can completely ruin the party.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be thinking boxing definitely at range and using maybe the right uppercut as well. It's going to be a very important punch for him, especially in the first round, maintaining that gap and keeping Ricky literally off him, because Ricky's going to be, I think he's going to be on the front foot, trying to slip in that jab here and there. So Senchenko has got to establish that jab, maintain that gap and just box at range. But yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. I mean, he's had 30 of his 33 fights in the Ukraine. He will never have boxed in an arena like this up against this crowd. This is a tough night for this man. He has got the tools for the job, but it's whether he can keep Ricky Hatton off him.
Perhaps a little unwisely, he said in the build-up this week that he was a Manchester United fan. Of course, Ricky Hatton is famously a Manchester City fan, so it probably wouldn't qualify him for a job in the diplomatic corps. But he's not been unwise enough to wear a Manchester United shirt, I don't think, or has he? I don't know what he's got underneath that dressing gown he's wearing. Maybe he's going to unveil a United shirt. You know, I think he is wearing one, you know.
If you listen to this crowd, if he unveils that Manchester United shirt, I'm sure there'll be a few people in here that won't like that, Ian, one bit. And you know what, he's standing right next to me. He is wearing a Man United shirt. Yeah.
He's right alongside us at ringside, waiting to enter the ring. He didn't turn up at the press conference this week, but his camp told us last night nobody told us there was a press conference.
No, I've never heard that before, that one.
That's the new one, I must say.
But here he's just stepping into the ring now. There's the boos. And when he takes that gown off, those boos will intensify.
Well, I was going to say, if he's worried about this, he isn't showing it. He's bouncing around in there.
Yeah, seems pretty relaxed. He looks quite confident.
Winner of 32 of his 33 fights, Vyacheslav Senchenko.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, look in the sky, there's a blue moon out tonight. And now, making his return to the ring here in Manchester, the 2-division four-time world champion, Ricky
solutions and remedies, and friends when bitterness ends. This is my church.
It's a night drenched in excitement and emotion, but a fair degree of concern as well, as a 34-year-old Ricky Hatton returns to the scene of his greatest triumph, the night he beat the seemingly invincible Kostya. Was it really 7.5 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. What a crowd that night against Kostya, but listen to the crowd here now.
And whatever has happened and whatever has befallen Ricky Hatton, in the meantime, he knows he's among 20,000 friends tonight. A glorious comeback or an exercise in self-delusion? We'll soon know. But what an incredible atmosphere and what an adoring reception. The Hitman, against all odds and 5 stone lighter than he was a year ago, returns.
Yep, he looks transformed, and it's home sweet home for Ricky Hatton here. Everyone is standing all around us, fantastic atmosphere. And this is Ricky Hatton's comfort zone. This is where he's most happy. He's missed this occasion, and now it's his chance now to put in a good performance here, Ian.
A big, big occasion with a big fight MC. Michael Buffer, of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the moment we've all been waiting for. This is Manchester, and this is the main event of the evening. 10 rounds of world-class professional boxing scheduled in the welterweight division. Brought to you by Hatton Promotions matchmaker Richard Boxing. Presented in association with Primetime and in the USA, Showtime, and sponsored by Variety, the children's charity. Sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, Chairman Charles Giles. Student Child, Jeff Bolter. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring, Oliver Bryan, Robin Del Pierre, and John King. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, referee Victor Laughlin. And now, boxing fans, are you ready? Manchester, are you ready? For the 20,000 plus, standing room only and sold out here in attendance, and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, heading out of the red corner, wearing gold, official weight, 10 stone, 6 pounds and 10 ounces. An outstanding professional record consisting of 33 contests, 32 victories, including 21 knockouts, with only 1 defeat. He's fighting for Union Boxing Promotions Donetsk, Ukraine, the former undefeated WBA welterweight champion of the world, Tommy Gaspara, the Ukrainian boxing master, Vyacheslav Senchenko. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing light blue trimmed with black. Official weight also 10 stone, 6 pounds and 10 ounces. His professional record, 47 contests, 45 victories, including 32 knockouts, with 2 defeats and 4 world titles. He's the former 4-time light welterweight and former welterweight champion of the world, the charismatic pride of Manchester, England, Ricky Hitman Hatton!
Here's Jennifer, his partner, mother of his daughter Millie, who was screaming when Hatton was knocked out by Manny Pacquiao 3.5 years ago. Victor Lachlan is the referee, and you can hardly hear yourself thinking here. Michael Buffer could hardly make himself heard. The fans are going absolutely crazy, and this hasn't started yet.
Yeah, incredible. This is it. Now, for Ricky Hatton, this is what he's been waiting for, Ian.
What has he got left? After 3.5 years away, will Senchenko try to start fast and test Hatton's punch resistance early on? Can he settle into a rhythm straight away? New trainer, remember, Bob Shannon for this. It's a big night for him as well. Senchenko much taller with a 5-inch reach advantage. He'll try to establish the jab, of course. Hatton's done lots in the gym. He's taken punches in the gym, but those were with 14-ounce gloves. This is the real thing. This is when it matters.
Yeah, Hatton straight away on the front foot. Just needs a little bit more head movement as he's coming forward just to avoid that jab. But we thought this would be the tactic from Hatton on the front foot and really trying to take it to his opponent early on. And he'll be looking to whip that right hand over the top, and also the left hook to the body will be his favourite punch in these early exchanges from Hatton.
Remember too, this is only the third fight at welterweight for Hatton. All his great achievements were in the 10-stone division, half a stone down from this at light welterweight. Has to eat the jab a couple of times from Senchenko, and a third time as well. Must be careful not to walk into that. They've been working on getting him back to giving angles and slipping and sliding.
Yeah, he's got to settle down a little bit, but he's got to move the head a little bit more here. Just got caught with a couple of jabs. So we need to see Ricky on that front foot, slipping that jab and then coming back with his counter. But the head movement is the most important thing in these early stages from Hatton.
Will we see those trademark left hooks to the body, which characterized his ascent to the top and to his status as a multi-millionaire who conquered Las Vegas before falling into the pit of despair and depression and the flirtation with suicide you've been reading about. Great jab from Hatton there, timed it perfectly.
Yeah, that was a super shot. He's also got to time this right hand. He's got to draw the lead of Senchenko and then whip this right hand over the top. He's got to draw it, that's the thing. And then catch him on the counter. There it was there. He nearly caught him, but that's the situation that he's got to force there.
Dug in a left hook to the body as well. There's always the problem too with Hatton. He has been in his past have been cutting. Remember, his skin pretty tightly taut these days after the, well, fairly rapid weight loss of the last 10 months. He's lost 70 pounds in the last 10 months to get down and get himself ready for this night, this occasion. Doing okay so far.
Yeah, starting to get closer to Senchenko. But there's that right hand. And just gets caught with one himself out. And so just got to watch it as he's coming forward. At times he's a little bit too reckless, and that's probably a little bit nerves. The crowd, he wants to impress. Just got to settle down. But he took the first round there.
You hardly heard the bell either in that. Hatton is back and has completed his first round in 3.5 years. His old cut man, Mick Williamson's in there with 56-year-old part-time painter and decorator Bob Shannon, who's got the job of being Ricky's new main man in the corner.
Yeah, some good tactics there from Bob Shannon. He's saying just to use the jab first, with plenty of head movement, and then whip the right hand over. So what he doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to be taking shots as he's moving forward. So he's telling him to use the jab, move the head, and then throw that right hand over the top.
Senchenko, who won the WBA welterweight title against the previously unbeaten Yuri Nuzhnenko. All his world title wins were on points before he lost it against Paulie Malignaggi, who was beating him when it was stopped with Senchenko with a closed eye after 9 rounds. That's his only defeat so far, though. Hatton maybe can get a world title crack at Malignaggi if he comes through this tonight. Tried to pick the right hand. The timing's not quite there yet with Hatton in the way it was in his heyday.
No, and that's why Bob Shannon in that corner is trying to say to him, use the jab a lot more, just to measure that distance and gap, and then obviously get the feet there, and then throw the jab and then whip the right hand over. But the tactic's right from Hatton. He's got to keep on this opponent. He doesn't want this opponent to establish a rhythm behind that jab.
Getting onto the inside, which is where he needs to be. Hatton quite successful. He doesn't want to be walking onto anything. And there is the question of the punch resistance, which looked to be fading late in his first career, if I can put it that way. Not just against Mayweather and Pacquiao, but against Juan Lazcano to some extent as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's signs there. But a priority here, Ian, for Hatton is to get Senchenko back onto the ropes, restrict this fella's movement a little bit. If he's boxing from centre of the ring behind that jab, he will start to establish a lead and he'll gain control. So push him back, disrupt his rhythm a little bit.
Good shot to the body there. Again, the jab works for Senchenko. Hatton looking to hunt his man down. Senchenko inviting him in almost. Right cross was a good shot there from Senchenko, but he's not known as a power hitter. Only 21 inside schedule wins out of his 32, not mixed with the same level of opposition, not by a long chalk as Hatton.
See Ricky there leading with the hook. That's a bad shot to lead with. If you miss the target, you're off balance, and you just got caught with a shot there. So we need faster. See, again, Senchenko from centre of the ring. He's starting to gain control. Hatton has got to put pressure on, sustain the pressure, double up them attacks and push him back.
Later in that first career, he seemed to think he could get the job done all the time just on pure strength, walking through opponents. Maybe the Zhu fight made him think that. And he's got to get back to using his boxing skills as well.
Yeah, that's a little bit better with the jab. He's a little bit inaccurate with the right hand so far. Just got to get back to boxing behind that left lead. Must keep moving the head.
The timing's still not quite there for Hatton. He's missed quite a bit, but he is exerting pressure on Senchenko. Bound to have been a few nerves from him. Uppercut on the inside to end the round from Ricky Hatton.
Listen, he's looking for that backhand every time, isn't he? He's looking at that right hand. He's waiting for you to come in, he's chopping that right hand down. Step across to your right, feint a bit. When you feint, you draw him in, then you throw your left in yourself. Start working that jab like you was a bit more, right? Get that jab working.
The first couple of rounds are always likely to be the most difficult for him, weren't they?
Yes, they were. But here on the attack, just a little bit inaccurate with his work here, Ricky Hatton, the way he's coming forward. But this is where he needs to move his head a little bit more as he's coming forward. Just inaccurate, just caught him with the right uppercut there, but he was actually holding at the back of the head, was Ricky. But here coming forward, walks onto a shot there, made the mistake of telegraphing that right hand rather, and walked onto a shot.
He says he feels more fury and hunger for this fight than he did even for when he won the world title against Kostya Tszyu. Maybe it's an achievement after everything he's been through, him simply being in there tonight and having got his life back sorted out again.
What I think he's got to do also, Ian, here is maybe feint. That's it, that's better from Ricky now. He's really getting to grips with it, but he's got to feint to the body with the jab and then whip the right hand over. There it was there, not too far away, but he's got to set that punch up, and the feint with the jab to the body may be the shot.
Left hook to the body, gets the crowd going. I think he was just a bit off balance more than anything, Senchenko, rather than shaken up by it. Certainly could have picked easier opponents. Could have just had a rehabilitation fight. Little 8-rounder, but no, he wants to come back in somewhere near the top, and he's got Senchenko going a bit here with some rib crunches. That was the old style. Senchenko sends out a message that he isn't hurt, or says he isn't anyway.
Yeah, well, that's probably the sign that he was hurt, when a boxer says that he wasn't. That's better from Hatton, good shot.
Left hook to the head, he was off balance. Senchenko, it staggered him back a little bit. Victor Lachlan telling some of the photographers just to back off a little bit, but it is bedlam in here, it really is.
Yeah. Ricky there, just unhappy with himself there, just a bit inaccurate with that work. But he's got to target the body a lot more here, Ian. He's got to slow this fella's feet down. Senchenko knows he must hit and move, so you slow those feet down and target the body.
Better with the jab, just finding his timing a little better. Now, Bob Shannon was telling me earlier this week he thought Ricky might look a little bit rusty in the first 2 rounds. Maybe he did too. He just walked onto a couple more again there. Senchenko, this sort of upright, pretty European sort of style, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's better at straight punches than he is hooks, but this is Hatton territory in at close quarters. What he's got to do now is just create a little gap on that inside to work. There's that left hook on the border there from Hatton, but that's better from Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, he set it up with the jab. Good shot, a silly grin through the gum shield from Senchenko, almost an acknowledgement that it was a good shot. He's been much better for me in this round, Hatton. Almost trying to remember the old script lines. And just picked off by that jab. There has to be the head movement. There isn't the head movement, and then 2 or 3 land from Senchenko, who's given grounds for encouragement. Hatton glad there that Senchenko's no kind of big hitter.
Yeah, Ricky there just made the mistake of just waiting a little bit too long, holding his feet. Easy target to hit if you're not moving the head. And he paid the price there.
Little knob that time, Senchenko gets him back as he lands with the left hook. I mean, the thing is, at the age of 34 with Hatton, his style of buzzsaw pressure fighter, usually beyond the age of 30, that's a harder style to make, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because he's always in the danger zone, isn't he? I mean, here he's on the attack. That was a good left hook to the body there, and that right hand. So we're seeing the better work from Hatton here. But Senchenko certainly had his fair share in this round. Caught Hatton there with a super straight right hand and a little left hook to the body. Better straight punches from Senchenko. So, yeah, that was a close round. Lovely straight right, little left hook downstairs as well to follow up. Better work from Senchenko in that round. I actually thought that round was even.
Fourth round here. Ricky Hatton, of course, in his Manchester City sky blue, as he always was. Senchenko whipped in a decent-looking hook in there. He's going to make Ricky Hatton work for this. Can Hatton get an eye-catching, headline-grabbing stoppage win to come back with?
Yeah, Ricky Hatton now, Ian, he really is starting to take risks by coming forward the way he is. He knows he's got to get close to his man. He knows he's got to slip that jab. And that's why he's eager on the front foot here, Hatton, but taking risks in doing it. The longer this contest goes, then Senchenko will fancy his chances.
He's not got him under control yet, not by any means, Hatton. Again, trying to set it up with the jab. Had to take one back again from the Ukrainian, who, of course, comes from Klitschko country, that part of Eastern Europe.
Surprised that Senchenko hasn't thrown the right up. I've got a couple of good left hooks from him there. But if he measures that shot behind that jab, then that could be a problem for Ricky Hatton.
The one thing that hasn't happened already is that Hatton, as some people predicted, might just crumble and fall apart from the word go, like a shell of his old self. Not at all. But there's still plenty of work to do in there. Good shot to the body, right, and a right back too from Senchenko, his own body punch.
Yeah, you just feel that Senchenko is gaining more in confidence. Short little right hand there. Ricky has got to keep applying this pressure. That's the only style he knows. Listen to the crowd now, Ian, really trying to lift their Manhattan.
It is an absolutely thunderous atmosphere here. We knew it would be. Maybe noisier than ever before. Again, a right hand he had to take on the way in, Hatton, but he got there with a couple of his body shots, and back comes Senchenko firing the right hand.
Yeah, Hatton again annoyed with himself by missing the target, but before that he landed with a good left hook to the body. I think that's what he should be concentrating on, downstairs.
Taking too many, isn't he, on the way in?
He just needs to move the head more and concentrate. This is better, that's a good left hook.
Very good shot. Senchenko again gives him that silly grin. That was the old Hatton there, a little cameo of it.
Yeah, and the inaccuracy is just down to being out of the ring for 3 years.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of ring rust there. His timing is just off slightly here, Hatton.
Still coming in on tram lines a little bit too much. Not enough angles, which is what they've been working on. Good round, that one. They sold out the tickets here, over 20,000 tickets in 6 hours. It's being shown in 80 cinemas across the country and 1,200 pubs and clubs. Such was the clamour to see this fight.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Here, lovely right hand there from Hatton. Lead shot as well. Backed his man up and then goes to work. Left hook just to finish that sequence. Yes, different angle. Good shot there from Hatton. Backs his man up and then a little left hook to finish it. Hatton's round for me.
I've got to say, Senchenko's come with a bit of attitude from the moment he walked in with the Manchester United shirt on.
Yeah, he hasn't been phased, has he, up to now? But he's behind.
It's only his 4th time fighting outside the Ukraine. Nearly all his fights have been in his home city of Donetsk, where England played in the European Championships in the summer. Body shot again from Hatton, digging them in, setting his feet, trying to roll back the years.
I think what Ricky Hatton needs here also, Ian, is the double jab. He's starting his attacks from too far away, he's falling short. He needs to measure the gap a little bit better, double that jab up, take you into that short range, and then explode with the shots downstairs. The single jab, he's falling short.
He's good in patches, isn't he, so far, but other times the rust is there, you can see it. Understandable.
Oh, definitely, and just the timing's out a little bit.
He's trying to...
Oh, good shot.
Rhythm, yeah, lovely fast shot, wasn't it? A right hand as he tried to slide along the rope, Senchenko.
Hatton's having some success with that right hand. 2 or 3 rounds now he's been catching with lead punches.
A bit wild there.
Yeah.
Made to miss 4 or 5 times. And then eating that Senchenko jab once and twice.
Senchenko making the mistake now and again of dropping that lead hand too much. And that's allowing Hatton to come with that right hand. That's a better. Now he's got to attack again. Needs to double up the attacks a little bit more here, Hatton. Sometimes a single attack isn't enough. It's allowing Senchenko just to adjust. Now he's got to go again.
Getting hit a bit too much. Hatton as well on the way in. Has caught a right cross again from this comparatively light-hitting fighter. I was interested to hear Paulie Malignaggi, who fought both these guys, say that he thought Senchenko was a little bit mentally fragile, but he hasn't looked that way, has he, here?
No, he's, I think, far from it. I think he's come in with a strong mental attitude into this contest. Knows he was really up against it.
So difficult to come back after, particularly after everything Hatton has been through in his life since the chilling Pacquiao knockout defeat in a couple of rounds in Las Vegas. It's his first fight in Manchester since he fought Juan Lascano in front of 56,000 fans at the Etihad Stadium. Is he going to be able to last the pace as well is another question, isn't it?
He's just starting to look a little bit, I wouldn't say tired, but the punches are getting a little bit slower from Hatton.
Yeah.
And he's taking too many shots as he's coming forward. Again, look, centre of the ring, Senchenko's in control, that's his round.
Yeah, I think the Ukrainian won that round. He looked ragged and wild in that round, Hatton, I thought. And that would be a worry.
Yeah, and that was probably the first clear round that Senchenko won. Some of the rounds have been very close. I give the third round an even round.
With that right hand, you need to work that jab a bit more, don't you? Feint a bit more. Feint. When you was feinting before, you were leading him on with that right hand and countering him. He's just waiting for you now.
Just a little fear in that round of Hatton going off the boil.
Don't slow down now. Get the head moving all
I think that's a great, yeah, I think so, Ian. Going forward here, that was a super right hand, and then he doubles it up with the left up to the body. But then just gets caught with the odd jab as he's coming forward. No head movement. Senchenko from the centre of the ring, just a textbook left jab. Easy stuff for him.
Sixth round, just a slightly more worried feel from these fans, most of whom will have bought their tickets not even contemplating the idea that Hatton would lose. They came here expecting to see a glory night like it always was, but not necessarily how it always will be.
Well, I think it was always going to be difficult to look as good as Hatton has in the past here after 3 years out, but nevertheless he's given it a good go here, is Hatton.
Well, quite often here he looked like a force of nature as he was coming through to his World Championship. Big right hand from Senchenko, sending the sweat spraying. Is not enough head movement, and then he tries a big left hand which almost embarrassingly throws him off balance. He missed by a mile with that one.
Yeah, timing not there, is it? Too far out again. Got to get back to basics, using that jab, close the gap down, get the feet into range. Centre of the ring, Senchenko again in control. When this fella's backed up onto the ropes, it's a different contest, and that's what Ricky has got to recognise, and that's what he's got to start concentrating on doing.
Maybe Senchenko's confidence is growing here.
Yeah, this is another good round for Senchenko. It's going to be important. Bob Shannon back in that corner, and he gets to the end of this round. He's got to lift his boxer. Lift those spirits of Ricky Hatton.
Just going through a bad patch in the fight here, Hatton. And again, the timing's not there, and the accuracy, the cleaner shots coming from the Ukrainian, who calls himself the Ukrainian master. He's boxing well here, and Hatton again misses by a country mile.
Yeah, and he's not doing nothing special, you see here, Senchenko. He's just boxing on the back foot, keeping the punches mainly straight, and his timing is much better, and that's because he's been in action more than Ricky Hatton has.
Always most effective when he can get on the inside and unload those hooks to the body, Hatton, but for a couple of rounds that hasn't happened at all here. And again, Senchenko picks him off with a right hand and then a left jab. Last couple of rounds have been the Ukrainians here.
Yeah, too far out here, Hatton. Got to get closer.
And the crowd have been quietened down.
Yeah, you just sense a turning point here in this contest for Senchenko. Another good round.
Due to go 10, of course. This fight not the usual 12. And started okay. Looked for a few times like he might be on the verge of a big breakthrough, but it never did happen. And Senchenko settled into quite a rhythm now. Let's get some reaction from Paulie Malignaggi, a world champion himself, is with us tonight.
How are you scoring it so far?
I'm not scoring it, but I think I've probably given Ricky every round except one. I don't know what round we're up to. We're up to 7, so I've got it 5-1.
That's at odds to most people that we're hearing from. I have to tell you that, Paulie. You suspected that Senchenko would find this very difficult, but he is right in this fight, is he not?
He's in the fight, but I just feel Ricky's controlling the pace a little bit. He's making him uncomfortable. Senchenko's landing his share of shots, and I expected that. Ricky was never a defensive genius, but it seems Ricky's pace is controlling the fight overall.
More from you, thank you.
Interesting. Paulie Malignaggi, of course, wants that big payday, I think, against Ricky Hatton. That would be a good fight for both of them, but Hatton would need to step up a little, I'd say, from what we're seeing here. But maybe he can rediscover the thread a little bit.
What Hatton's got to watch out for now, Ian, he obviously in that corner they've told him that he's got to get closer to his man. They've lifted him a little bit, but he can't do it recklessly. He can't just walk onto shots. He's at an age where he won't be able to take the punishment, so he's got to move the head. He's got to avoid the shots as he's coming forward. He's got the right attitude and the right tactic to get up to his man, but in doing that he's got to avoid the shots as he's coming forward. I think there's a cut below the left eye of Senchenko.
Yeah, there's some blood there for him. Keep the punches up, says Victor Lachlan to Hatton. Again, has to just take that jab, and look how far he's missing by he's really winding up and loading up with the shots, and that's making it pretty easy for Senchenko to stay out the way of them.
Yeah, the problem for Hatton here is his feet have slowed right down, and that's allowing Senchenko now to find his rhythm, and this is better from Senchenko.
Just getting a little marked up as well, Hatton. And Senchenko, you can see how his confidence is going. Another right hand thuds home, and this is now becoming pretty hard work for Hatton, and it's certainly closed up on the scorecards, I would say. I think we've got a close-ish fight here now. Left hook to the body is a first success in quite a while, of any significance really for Hatton. He's got to dig deep here now.
Yeah, and unlike Ricky Hatton, he's allowing his opponent off the ropes. Those are the opportunities where he's got to work in at close range. The old Ricky Hatton would find the gaps there, and he'd really go to town on the inside, but he's allowing his man out of those situations and back to the centre of the ring.
Can he find one breakthrough punch here? Senchenko sees this way and this fight as his way back into world title contention himself, of course. He's got his own agenda. Any suggestion that he was just here to play the patsy, lie down, obey the script, I think you can throw those out the window.
Yeah, a little dangerous shot there from Senchenko on the inside, that short right hand, like a short right uppercut. But Hatton coming forward as ever. And this is what he needs now. He needs the crowd to get behind him. They're responding. Let's see if Ricky can.
Again, Senchenko waves him in with that blood beneath his left eye, which didn't ought to be a problem. They could hardly hear the bell in the middle of all that. Looking very nervous at ringside. Ricky's partner Jennifer, for the first time ever, his parents Ray and Carol not here after a well-publicized disagreement between them and their son. Igor Gapon is the trainer there for Senchenko.
Some action here from Ricky Hatton coming forward, but walking onto a jab there. Then he tries to gather that rhythm again. Another angle there, lovely left hand from Senchenko. It was a good finish to the round though from Hatton. He finished it well.
Might just squeeze that one out.
Might just nick that round, not a lot in that round.
Already into the 8th round, there's only 9 minutes left of this fight. It's fascinating. You've got it 68-66 for Hatton at this stage. I mean, it's hard to conceive of him losing on points here at home if it's anything like close, but of course there'll be other verdicts to be delivered. It's a bit better from him. Pressure on the inside. It's what he needs to do. Get in close, not let Senchenko work behind his jab. But he needs head movement on the way in and angles to do that, and I don't think that's really happened, has it?
No, it hasn't. And I've been a little bit disappointed when he is on the inside. He hasn't took those opportunities in here. That's better. That's better work from Ricky Hatton there on the inside.
Cracking punch from Hatton. Again, he took a right crossing to walk through it. He wouldn't want to be taking the kind of punches he's taken from some heavier hitters who might be hanging around the welterweight division, and there are a few of them.
Again, Senchenko just growing in confidence. That's a better shot again.
Good, neat boxing from the Ukrainian. The cleaner shots, the cleaner work from him so far in this round for me.
What Hatton's got to start doing also, if there's no head movement coming forward, just keep the left hand a little bit higher as he's getting into punching range. He keeps walking onto these right hands. Left hand's a little bit too low as he's coming forward. He's got to have some sort of cover there, either with the hand or head movement as he's coming forward. Look, again, right hand straight away.
Getting outboxed in phases of the fight here. Hatton being hit too much. Fighting with his face a bit. And that was a problem in the later stages of his first career, wasn't it?
Yeah, and as Senchenko, as this contest has gone on, he's growing in confidence. He always knew that it was going to be a problem the first 2 or 3 rounds. He's come through that. And now you can tell from the way he's punching, long range, he's gaining more and more confidence here, Ian.
That's better from Hatton. He's putting a couple together and ended it with a right hand, little right cross. Getting a bit swollen by the right eye, just underneath that Hatton. That's been happening for a few rounds. Now, it hasn't closed up or anything like that, though. Smart boxing again from the Ukrainian.
Yeah, that was a lovely little move there from Senchenko. Double left hook to the body and then switch to the head.
Hatton might be getting credit from the judges for coming forward and applying the pressure, but how much is he really landing when he does so?
Yeah, way off target there. Timing not right here, or better from Senchenko. His round for me, Senchenko.
Yep, if we're being honest about it, it was, I think, quite without question. So a bit of anxiety maybe among the crowd. There are 1 or 2 people wondering, is Hatton reaching out for something that isn't there anymore?
Well, I think the reaction of the crowd says it all. I mean, everyone's sitting down, it's pretty quiet. Bob Shannon then saying just 2 rounds left. But here, Hatton worked well on the inside there. But there's that gap, and Senchenko, you can see him coming, just waits. And then lovely left hook, right hand combination. Ricky too far away from his man.
I have it 5 rounds to 3 for Hatton, but I may be a bit generous in giving him the first 4, a couple of which were close-ish. And there are 2 rounds to go. Tell you about the judges in a while when that becomes necessary. 6 minutes left. Hatton has to turn it on a bit here and make sure and leave good memories and something to build on for the next fight of the comeback if there's going to be another one.
Yeah, these next 2 rounds now, Ian, it's important that Hatton just paces himself in the rounds and finishes the rounds better. The last minute of the round in particular is so important now. He's got to finish and catch the judge's eyes. The last minute of the round, he's got to start pouring on a little bit and just pace himself up until that point.
Well, some great fighters have come back from long absences. What about Muhammad Ali with Jerry Quarry and Sugar Ray Leonard against marvellous Marvin Hagler with fantastic wins, but it isn't that easy for most.
No, I think the work rate has been very good here from Hatton. I think he's done well.
Yeah, his fitness is great, isn't it? There's no problem with that. He's trying to throw the leather, but the timing's not been there, has it?
The accuracy's not there.
And I think Bob Shannon will be disappointed how much he's getting hit and how little head movement there's been. They've been working on that.
Just took a few too many as he's been coming forward, Hatton. That's been his problem. And let's get it right. The welterweight division was never his best division. He was always a stronger light welter.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not making excuses for Hatton because I think it'd probably be impossible for him to make light welter now. But his work rate has been good.
That is a plus. He's been brilliantly conditioned and he's fit, and this is an exercise in redemption for him. I think he didn't know what was going to happen when he got in the ring tonight. I'll be fascinated to hear what he says afterwards, his own verdict on this. I think he's found it quite hard.
Yeah, he's feeling the pace now. His Hatton, those feet have really slowed down, taking the shots as he's come in.
That's better with the jab, and then a body shot. That's better from Hatton. Then he does find the target. Is Senchenko just tiring a little bit? But he can't just walk everybody down in straight lines. He's 34 now. Maybe he should have taken a less demanding 8-rounder first.
Again, trying to lead with the jab, too far out. Missing there. Crowd trying to lift him again here.
Support has been, well, unbelievable, really. Well, any fighter in the world who has his drawing power, really, you could take to the 15,000 fans to Las Vegas with him, pack out 56,000 in Manchester.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Senchenko just made a mistake there, the way he led, and the old Ricky Hatton would have probably took his head off. But it just wasn't there. The reactions weren't there. Oh, what was that? Was that low?
No, it wasn't. It's been counted as a count, a body shot. Now then, can he get up from this? He's got to get up. He can't say. No, he's knocked out. Ricky Hatton is knocked out. And the comeback ends in sadness and woe and misery. And this arena is absolutely stunned. Beaten by a body shot. And Ricky Hatton's comeback ends on its own launch pad amid some quite distressing scenes.
Yeah, that was an incredible end to this contest. Obviously took a heavy body shot there. I initially thought it was low, but you saw it in, it wasn't low. And he looked, and I thought he was going to get up, but I don't know whether he wanted to get up. It was all going wrong for him these last few rounds. Senchenko was starting to gain control. He's getting up now, Ricky, good lad.
In tears of despair, and after all the interviews we've been reading with Ricky Hatton about finding a way back in his life, you do rather fear for what the result of a defeat like that will be for him. He so wanted to make a statement. Maybe this will persuade him that there is no hitman anymore. There is no more comeback, and he can live a life brilliantly put by one of the writers this morning, Kevin Mitchell. I was reading in The Guardian. Maybe he can live a life more ordinary.
Yeah. Well, the crowd have responded very well to it. They're all on their feet, singing his name. That'll give him some comfort there. But a terrific body shot. Let's have a look at it. Hatton coming forward. I'm sure it's the left hook to the body.
It's a great shot from Senchenko. It's the first time ever that Ricky Hatton has lost a fight in Great Britain.
Oh, good punch. Yeah. Yeah, the first time, but that was a terrific body shot. Just on the blind side of us, it was hard to see. There it was there. Short and sharp. At this stage, I think he was getting more and more tired, wasn't he? But that's really took the wind out of his sails, Hatton.
I mean, the truth was there. The timing was never there. He looked wild. He was getting hit too much, and then he's. I mean, anyone can be hit by a body shot like that and get knocked out. That's happened to a lot of fighters. But I think that has to be it, doesn't it? Now.
Yeah, I think so. That certainly brought back memories of when he beat Luis Castillo out in Vegas with that crunching body shot. But he's in tears. The lad is. He really is. But yeah, I do think that's it now for Ricky Hatton.
Well, one or two boos for the Ukrainian. There's no point in them doing that. The fella's come in here and he's done a job, and a very good job as it happens. There is absolutely no point in the crowd booing, and that's an irrational reaction. You can understand their disappointment, but I think they've probably been here for the final chapter in the story.
Yes, indeed, and it was a good performance from Senchenko. And he probably didn't know what to expect either, but he stuck to his game plan. He mainly fought on the back foot, fought at range. And as the contest was going on, he was starting to gain control. No head movement from Ricky, and as he's coming forward, getting caught with those shots. But you have to give credit to Senchenko. He boxed very well indeed.
Well, he now has to come to terms with that after working so long and so hard for months after months to get himself ready. He dreamt really that he could roll back the years and recreate the old Ricky Hatton, but as with so many fighters before, he got in there and found that. But I don't think he was a shell of his old self, but he was certainly nothing like his old self.
No, his timing was off. He had good work rate. I think he had a good engine, but his reflexes were much slower. His timing was off. A lot of the attacks were too far away. He forgot the basics about using that jab. And for me, he just failed on the inside of really taking the opportunities there that were given to him. But yeah, it's not there anymore, Ian, at the end of the day. It's over, and it comes to an end for all of us who have been boxers, and it's horrible when it does, but, you know, it's a sad reality.
And if it is the end, let's say this: thank you for all the memories for Ricky Hatton that he's given us, and the great nights and all the excitement, and we hope that his life from here on is healthy and wealthy and happy.
Exactly. I don't think you'll ever see another boxer take over 25,000 people to Vegas. Incredible scene. So yeah, he's given us some fantastic magical nights. Brilliant, Ricky Hatton.
Michael Buffer will deliver the sad news officially of Ricky Hatton's first ever defeat on home soil, and maybe the result of his very last fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, officially the end comes at 2 minutes, 52 seconds of round number 9. The winner by knockout victory, fighting out of the blue corner for Union Boxing, Donetsk, Ukraine, former world champion, Vyacheslav Senchenko.
Superb win for Senchenko, very fine performance. He did outbox Hatton for large parts of that fight as well.
Yes, he did, and as we've said, he fought the right contest. Listen to the crowd now with Ricky Hatton still all here on their feet.
I think he'll want to grab the ring microphone, you know, and address the fans. It's what he often does, so we'll see whether he can do that. Maybe he was on his way to nicking that on points, but it wouldn't have told the story, would it, really?
No, I think it was a close contest anyway. I had him just, I think, fractionally ahead. But you could tell that round by round, then Senchenko was starting to get more established with his right hand, especially catching Hatton coming forward. And he was getting better and better and starting to take control.
A lot of reflection for Ricky Hatton to do, but he's okay. He's up from the body shot. A sad night here, a sad end, as it so often is when fighters try to come back. Certainly not as bad as Joe Louis being spread eagled through the ropes by Rocky Marciano in pictures from the distant past. So maybe we can grab a word with Ricky now, with Paul Dempsey there who's got him.
Okay, take your time. After all, it's been 3.5 years. Did you think you were winning the fight?
Yeah, I thought it was maybe 4 rounds up, but it's obviously clear signs of ring rust, you know what I mean? I hurt him a couple of times, and then I tried to sit down on my shots, and you know, they were all ducking in the top road, you know what I mean? It was miles away, you know what I mean? And but after 3.5 years, you know, I expect that a little bit. I mean, for my first one back after 3.5 years, I put my body through hell, losing 4.5 stone, and I was winning, you know, the top and bottom of it is. So I don't want to make any hasty decisions, but I'm really heartbroken here because I worked so hard, not just for the 12-week training camp, for the last 5 months, getting my life back together, and I felt I was winning, and I was nearly home, and one shot, I'm absolutely heartbroken.
Understandably so. So just take it step by step, okay? First, how good a shot, that was the biter bit. Your hero, Roberto Duran. The one you gave to Castillo. You just got one back in kind tonight, you know that. Was it a good shot? Did it feel like one?
It was a good shot, you know, to be honest, but I mean, you know, he nailed me with a few. He nailed me with a few early on, you know, not, you know, didn't snap me in two like that one, but I mean, and I should have thought, oh, he's looking for that, and he didn't. And that's, I guess, what 3.5 years does, you know. if you'd have been fighting regularly, you know, you watch that, Rick, and you get your elbow in, you know, accordingly. And but you know, I think I was doing all right, you know, bearing in mind 3.5 years out from my first one back, a former world champion. He only lost his unbeaten record in his last fight. You know, a lot of people patted me on the back, you know, for taking this challenge. But I'm just gutted. I can't, you know.
And we understand that absolutely. So again, it's time in due course for some more serious reflections, perhaps. Yeah. The one thing many people were worrying about, and Senchenko has proved himself. So, by the way, you are a rather good matchmaker, you know that, don't you? But why did you not think about an 8-rounder with Senchenko at 10 or maybe even 12 rounds in the new year?
How long have you known me? You know, I want to fight world champions.
I was thinking that halfway through the fight. You are a fool to yourself. So
I want to fight for world titles, you know, and I had to beat someone like that to fight for the world title. And there's a lot I need to think about, because, I mean, 3.5 years to pick someone like that and do that and be maybe 4 to 5 rounds up, you know, as close as it was. You know, it's another defeat.
Were you enjoying it?
I was enjoying it, but I was finding it heavy weather. But I mean, it's to be expected after 3.5 years and against a good opponent. But I don't know. I keep picking my arse up off the floor. I don't know how many times I can do it. I've got to have a real serious thing.
Your fitness was excellent.
Well, I'm a champion. I'm a fighter. I'm sick of. I'm not a failure, mate. I'm not a failure. And but I've got to have a proper think about things, because that's not the way my career should end. But I maybe have to start thinking about it now.
There is no point rushing that decision. You understand that?
Oh no, I'm not going to rush it. It's a big decision. You know what I mean? I dwelled on it too long last time, but I mean, I've got to sit down with my team, make a decision. But I did some impressive things for 3.5 years out. But I'm sick of losing 2 fights on the defeat now. For someone like that, as proud a man as I am, you don't know what that does to hurt me.
No, I think everybody here does. Now, just before we let you go, the people, your supporters, in success and in victory, and on nights like tonight, you're the first to say they've always stood by you, and they're listening to this. So your message to them.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm not quitting me. I keep trying. I wanted a challenge. I picked a challenge, and it didn't come off tonight. But I got to thank everyone again for turning out to me. I feel I needed to prove something, and I think I proved it tonight. You know, 3.5 years out with all the demons I've had. But heartbreaking isn't the word for me, to be honest.
Understandable, but listen, you have done yourself proud out of the ring. So take time and think, okay? That's the thing to take away from this. Ricky, well done. Thank you.
Right, guys, we need to get him out, please.
All right.
Excuse me, guys.
Paulie Malignaggi, come and stand in here for us. The performance tonight by Ricky Hatton, what's your assessment?
I had him up on the cards. I thought he was a bit anxious. I thought he could have calmed down a little bit. It seems Senchenko was starting to get his timing in a little bit. And it made, like Ricky said, you know, maybe that's 3.5 years. He didn't notice Senchenko starting to get the timing down a little bit. Maybe slow it down, or possibly even, you know, be careful with this shot or two. You know, the thing is, you know, 3.5 years will do that to you. You know, you're a bit ring rusty. You're a bit, you know, you haven't been in the ring for a while, so. You know, I thought he was up. You know, it's just the anxiousness. The anxiousness in the end got him, because he should have seen, like he said, he should have seen Senchenko was starting to look for that shot. It wasn't the first one that he'd thrown. But again, when you're out that long, sometimes your mind is not as sharp as your body either.
Ricky has always struggled at welterweight. Surely it was just, from that point of view, the difficulty of fighting welterweights again counted in this job tonight. Did you see that?
The only time I noticed the weight a little bit was in the clinches. Senchenko was pushing Ricky back, and you rarely see Ricky getting pushed back. But aside from that, I don't think this had to do with the weight, honestly, because like I said, I mean, Ricky was in there, he was grinding, he was working him. Like I said, I had him up in the fight. I don't think it had to do with the weight. Obviously, the skeptics are gonna look